This is one of the strangest candies I've had in a long time. It's like popping in my mouth. Hi, and welcome to the SugarHero channel. I'm Elizabeth LaBau, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. So I recently picked up this candy from Trader Joe's. They're called root beer float pieces, and they're chunks of vanilla sandwich cookie with popping candy and a root beer flavored coating. And if you're thinking that sounds a little strange, you're right. These things are so weird. So many different flavors and textures in your mouth, they really shouldn't work, but they totally do. I love them. I want to be eating them all the time, and so I thought today it would be really fun to try to make my own version at home. And by the way, this is not a sponsored video. Trader Joe's doesn't know who I am. I'm just weirdly obsessed with these little oddballs. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna make homemade root beer float pieces. So let's get started. Obviously, I am nothing if not a scientist. So first we need to do a little research into how these things are constructed, starting with their appearance. Okay, I would describe these as extremely sad and tragic looking, shapeless brown blobs. I will let you fill in the blank as to what else you think these might look like. But I think this is actually good news for us. It means we don't have to spend a lot of time on decorating or making them look perfect or even making them look cute, because we can definitely make shapeless brown blobs as good as, or even better than these. So let's see what's going on the inside. I mean, it basically just looks like chunks of dipped cookie. The popping candy, I'm sure, is really small. You can't even see it, so this should be easy peasy. The next step is ingredients. As you might imagine, these little weirdos call for some specialty ingredients. Let's talk through what you need. First off, vanilla sandwich cookies. Any brand will work. I like using double stuff because more filling is always better, but use whatever you'd like. Next up is popping candy. This is basically like unflavored Pop Rocks. They're little pieces of sugar that kind of explode in your mouth and give you a very strange popping sensation. This isn't something that's usually found in stores. You'll most likely have to order it online, so I've put a link down below for you. Next, we need brown candy coating. Now, candy coating is usually easy to find, but in this case, we want it to be brown but not chocolate flavored, which it turns out is extremely hard to find. So you have a couple options here. You can use regular white candy coating and use candy coloring, which is oil-based, to color it a deep brown color. Or you can mix complementary colors of candy coating like red and green or blue and orange, mix them together to get a brown color. Or your last option is just to use white coating and not care if it's brown. Totally valid and by far the easiest. Finally, you need root beer flavoring, the star of the show. You want something as concentrated as possible so you can get a strong root beer flavor without having to add a ton of it. And ideally, when you're flavoring chocolate or coating, you also want something oil-based, just like we talked about with the candy color. But unfortunately, that's also tricky to find an oil-based root beer flavoring. So I'm gonna use Loran brand. This is the best option I can find. It's got a good root beer flavor. Now, unfortunately, it will thicken it a little bit, so we're gonna need to counteract that. So to keep the coating fluid, we need to add extra fat. The easiest option that you probably have at home is adding some vegetable oil. It'll work in a pinch. It's not my preferred choice. My preferred choice, since you're already ordering weird stuff from the internet anyway, is to pick up something called Paramount crystals. These are little flakes of fat. It's the same kind of fat that's in candy coating. So it blends like a dream, it melts perfectly, and it'll give your candies that shiny, hard finish. Now that our ingredients are sorted, let's make some candy magic. Start by chopping the sandwich cookies roughly into quarters. You don't want tiny pieces and you don't have to be super precise. Next, melt the candy coating, and remember here you have options. Either mix complementary colors or dye your coating brown or just leave it white. I'm using a few different oil-based candy colors to make a dark brown shade. Now add the root beer flavoring, and this is a bit scary because you are gonna see it thicken up some. This always kind of drives fear into the heart of the candy maker, but I told you it was coming, it's unavoidable, and it's also gonna be fine. Let's thin out this coating so it's more workable. If you're using oil, stream in a teaspoon at a time and stir well. Or for Paramount crystals, it's the same idea. Add them gradually, stir so they melt in the coating, and if you need to, you can reheat it a bit during this process. Next, place some popping candy in a large bowl and add a bit of melted coating to them. Stir it around until they're coated. Oh, you can kind of hear them popping a little bit already. Then add your cookie chunks and stir again. You might need to add a little more coating, we're just eyeballing it, but you basically want enough so the popping candy can mix in well and it sticks to the cookies. Scrape everything out onto a cookie sheet covered with parchment and separate the cookie pieces a bit to make it easier to dip later. Refrigerate the tray for about 10 minutes to set the coating. When you're ready to dip, briefly warm up the candy melts again, then separate the cookie pieces. If they're really cold, just let them sit at room temperature for a little bit so they warm up, so you're not dipping cold candy into warm coating. Use forks or dipping tools to dip the candy one piece at a time. Then take it out of the bowl, tap it on the side a few times so any extra drips off. Then place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Keep going until they're all dipped, and you can rewarm the candy melts if they seem to be getting too cool to easily dip. Refrigerate your dipped candies one more time for about 15 minutes until the outer coating is totally set. All right, we're done, so let's see how we did. Store-bought here, homemade there. I think we really nailed the shapeless brown blob brief. We did great with that. And honestly, I think the homemade ones look delectable. Obviously, it helps they haven't been packaged in a bag and getting all scuffed up, but still, they're beautiful, they're shiny, they're inviting. These look great. So let's see if they taste great. Honestly, we nailed it. Delicious, has all the right flavors and textures of the original. I think the biggest difference is the popping candy is more noticeable in the homemade. Maybe just because they're fresher, maybe because I used more, but that's not a bad thing. These are awesome. I'm gonna call this a big success. Please let me know if you give these a try. I would love to hear how they turn out for you. And if you enjoyed this, let me know down below what Trader Joe's dessert or candy I should recreate next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun dessert recipes. And as always, happy eating. Bye guys.